My name is Caspi. I'm co-founder of Deep Instinct. When I was in school, the teacher used to complain to my parents that I don't come to school. And they were right. I was spending most of my time in building AI, trying to compete Nintendo games and many other programming. And from that time, actually, it was the passion of my life, and it's mainly around 2 decades of AI, which I took in the last 6 years and converted this to cybersecurity. When we are looking on cybersecurity, I think that we are in an era that each and every one of you have been probably hacked. Your PCs, your employer, your mobile. Why it's happening? Because we are in a competition between the speed, the velocity, the sophistication of cyber attack, which are growing dramatically in the last few years, versus the risk and what is happening in the market. When you have a known threats, it's easy to prevent. But the mutation and the unknown variants, which are coming from these known threats, with the rising of 0 days and ransomware, creating a huge challenge in our ability to detect on time and remediate cyber attack. When we are looking on sophistication of fileless attack and more complex attack versus the risk, we are in an era which, I'm in this industry for 20 years. I think in the last 2 years, it's the most complex, most advanced, and most challenging to help customers and countries to prevent cyber attack. And this is where we live. On top of this, artificial intelligence are not just being used by the good guys. They are being used also by the bad guys. We see a lot of artificial intelligence activity which are being used by the other side or the attacker to attack in a very unique way. Why we are at this situation? We had great leaders speaking today. We have so many cybersecurity, and still we are being breached far too often. The reason for that is that we are relying on human as a line of defense. Most of the security vendors are having hundreds and thousands of people which are doing analytics and are analyzing on a daily basis this malware and this activity and that activity, and it's becoming mission impossible when you have 500,000 new malware a day. We need to change the way we are doing security, and to change the way we need more technology because human ability to respond is very limited these days. There was few people, including Yoel at the beginning, mentioning the war between Russia and Ukraine, and also just Shlomo mentioned a few things. I want to state my take on this war. So first, the first week of the war was unseen in terms of what we saw. First, the usage of wipers. You can imagine, if you are not from the cyber industry, wipers is a ballistic cyber missile, which meant to destroy something in a very aggressive way. What's happened in the war, the first week was few wipers that have been sent from both sides, and I don't know if you pay attention, Kremlin was out for 3 days, the biggest banks of Russia was not operating, the stock exchange of Moscow was paralyzed for 4 days. On the other side, we saw hospitals, utilities, and even a huge electricity grid that couldn't supply any electricity because of these wipers. On top of this, what we see here in this war, it's something very interesting. Crowdsourcing cyber operation that were involved in conflict in the past, here it's different. We see people and hacker groups from all over the world joining Ukraine and helping them in this cyber warfare. And this is something that is going to escalate the technique, the sophistication, and it's already spilled out to few other countries in Europe. Actually, I've been here yesterday with a very big State Department here in UK, which already suffer from the cyber, I would say, impact that is happening in this market. So what is the challenge and how can we solve it? So in Deep Instinct, we are all about deep learning and the implementation of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is a broad umbrella term for anything which is artificial intelligence. Anything that is doing intelligent and exhibit intelligence, it's artificial intelligence. doesn't have to be involved with any learning. We have Gary Kasparov that was beat by Deep Blue of IBM long time ago with an amazing artificial intelligence program without any learning, just a giant calculator. Under artificial intelligence, we have machine learning. The biggest difference between this and that is that machine can learn by itself and not just explicitly program like at the first is. Under machine learning, we have deep neural network, also known as deep learning. This field is changing the world. It's changing the world in almost any domain. And it's the biggest leapfrog of technology, in my view, from the dawn of computer science. And I will explain why, because there is a conceptual, very big difference between deep learning to machine learning. In machine learning, doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter if it's cybersecurity, speech, or voice, you can't pour all the raw data inside an algorithm. What we will do, we'll take an expert in cyber, an expert in vision, an expert in medical, an expert in something that will help us recognize the features, the right properties, and then we can feed this into the machine learning. This process has two big problems. By doing this, we are actually throwing most of the data. And we are skipping a lot of processes which are important. In this audience, they are world champion in recognizing cat and dogs. But if I'll ask you, what are the difference between cat and a dog, you will have huge problem to explain to me. We people, we are very bad in articulating features. We are great in learning. And cybersecurity, implementing deep learning, skipping all these processes, and actually allowing us to understand better who is what is a threat, and what is something which is legitimate. And the difference between what we are doing and others, it's the implementation of deep learning, allowing us to be in a very unique position in the way that we have more accuracy, more broad attack protection, and a very unique resilience of the model, allowing hackers to have huge problem to bypass us. I will skip this because of time, but at the end of the day, this is a new category. This is a new category in cybersecurity. This is not just another cybersecurity. And this category, it's all about prevention. You can look at Deep Instinct as the Pfizer of the cyber versus all the others which are doing COVID tests and treatments, which are not less important. It's just a different way of thinking and bringing prevention into cybersecurity. Deep Instinct, in number, last minute, I have to finish, more than 3,000 customers, 275 million in funding, 400 employees. We scanned more than 1 billion files a week globally, and this is the first and still the only cybersecurity deep learning framework that has been used to protect on cyber. Thank you.